Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding.
You are actually one of my funnest people to converse with in all of Redding, if I'm honest.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And we've gotten to know each other from real estate and lending, right?
Yep.
To, I think, our faith life, there. And then to you starting some different projects, Shiloh Park, different things that you've done. We've known each other through. And then all the way to civic service, public office, that kind of thing, where we've both been minded about like how our city runs. So all these different ways that we've gotten to know each other. But I think my favorite thing about you, that I don't have that thing in the same way, is the kind of visionary that you are for the things that you see for Redding, and more so even just like for the people of Redding. So I asked you to come on, kinda.
Yeah.
Also, you are one of our All Redding hosts and haven't like triggered in quite yet.
Yes.
So I tricked you into here so we can have some fun.
Well, thanks. No, I think it's really fun to be able to do this in this format, because we have had hours and hours of conversations on so many topics that involve our city and how to impact it, and in ways that hopefully are, positive, and whether it's been in housing or it's been in civic leadership or our faith. Those have all been really fun. So it's cool to be able to do this maybe in front. But I don't think, though, that we know as much, even though we've had all those hours of conversations. It's almost like finding a friend at the playground, and you like the same games, but you don't always like dig into your personal stories or your life and all that kind of stuff. You don't really know why they like that game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've ever asked each other, why are you doing this? Like, it feels crazy to me that you're running a business and you're giving so much time to things that also don't pay you or benefit your family. But there's something about passion. There's something about giving back to your community that's so important to you, obviously. And then, and vice versa. So I think that could be kind of fun. It's like, where does that why come from?
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had that conversation.
No, I don't think we actually have. Yeah. I mean, we both know we're both big family people.
Yes.
So there's got to be a why there, right? Obviously. But too,
by the way, I love your husband, by the way.
I should just make him a host.
He's awesome. Oh, he would be
Everybody
great.
would like to steal him. He's now on Brittany Bayer's Guild Beauty website.
Okay.
He's a model.
Okay.
So that's new. Yeah, everybody loves him.
That's awesome. Can we get a little caption of that, like somewhere in the bottom, right, with Pork's face?
It's great. It's under "What's New About Waxing," because the man is very well groomed. So it's good stuff.
That's awesome.
But it's funny. It rubs off. I don't know about you. Like that being
the modeling
said,
part.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm doing that next. No, the civic service. Like it rubs off as far as like he's watched me get involved in so much, and he's like, "You're crazy," and now I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching him go down the same vein."
Well, he's not just involved. I mean, he is.
Well, now
he is in it.
This is true.
Which is really cool to see. I love, like, what a big. He would be interesting to talk to about the jump, career wise, and then why. Because there's got to be a story of like.
Yes.
To make that big move, there had to have been something that was compelling him.
Maybe he's your first interview.
Maybe actually.
He's actually a very interesting guy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. Get ready. Coming for you. All right. Cool.
I'll give you all kinds of talking points.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his story is kind of a wild one. He's part Abercrombie, part Indian, part So there's some fun stuff there. But yes, going from the hospital to civic service.
Yeah.
And partially it is because of me getting into civic service and meeting the people, and then all of a sudden he's there too. You know, so that happens. And I know your wife has had to deal with some of the not that you do.
She's not as excited about getting into it as
she doesn't want to go to work. No,
I think she's all right. She's like, I love my kids. I love our business.
So speaking of, like, I think one of the things you had brought up is like, how did we both get here? I don't know that I know your story of how you guys wound up in Redding, California.
Yeah, well, that's actually really it's such a milestone. For us, we didn't just flippantly choose Redding. It was a really interesting backstory. So in 2014, and I've told this on other podcasts before, more faith-based ones, because that context tends to understand our story a bit more.
Okay.
But I think those even without a faith background might relate to it a little bit, because even if you don't have a faith background, you might not point to a dream as something that is maybe from God. You might have a gut feeling that made you decide an intuition about doing something. And I had a literal dream that I was building a city with friends that changed the way I looked at my city where I was living at the time, which was Cincinnati. I'm originally a California native, but was living in the Midwest at the time. Okay. And I had this literal dream. I was with a bunch of people I didn't know, and we built it.
You remembered it.
Yeah, I remembered it, woke up, and I remembered it. It actually like became obsessive to me, because now I saw how cities were designed, and I started asking questions. Who decided where the streets go? Who decided what houses look like? How did cities get laid out? Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, I renovated some homes. I did some flips during the financial crisis, but I had no idea who decided the street names, who decided. I didn't know who a developer was.
Do you know how I describe you sometimes?
What?
Have I ever told you this?
No. Here we go.
I'm like, this is what Josh does. It's like a Rubik's Cube is there, and he picks it up, and he's like, but what if we looked at it this way? But what if we tried that? Like, that is how I describe you to people. And I think it's awesome.
That's funny.
That's so like that.
Well, it kind of starts with like, I don't even know what this cube is yet. Like at this point in 2014, when I had this dream, I had such a limited understanding of how city planning worked or how the process, what happened. I started researching who developers were versus like a builder. Like I've met builders. My dad was in the trades, like HVAC and plumbing is what I grew up in. Okay. So I kind of knew about that part, but that's really downstream from this developer role. Right. The person who buys the land, prospects it, kind of like a gold, miner who's like, I'm prospecting for gold. Well, you're prospecting this land and saying, what do you think should be there? And they're saying, I think it should be housing, and I think it should have, this mix of multifamily and this density of mid kind of density housing, and then low density housing, and then it should have a park over here, and it should have a school there, and it had a fire department there. Well, who told them to have a fire department? Probably the city told them you need a fire department there. and then all of those things, and then the street widths and the sidewalks, and which homes were more inviting, and how were they facing, and was it more of a community driven design, or was it kind of what we saw in the last 30 years of building, which is kind of a blow and go neighborhoods where the garages are out front, the cars are parked in the front. That's all you see are cars, and the front doors are tucked way back, and no one knows their neighbors, and they drive
into your cave, and you don't come out
and you roll your garage door down, and I hope no one comes and talks to me, and no one knows anybody anymore.
Real. Yeah.
And I know that it sounds a little. I wasn't. The dream that I had didn't inspire this nostalgia to like take us back to the 50s. Actually, there's no way we're going back there. And actually, maybe if you were to go back there, people say it wasn't as good as you think it was.
There was problems then too.
People actually didn't like their neighbors back then either. They might say, but I would say this, that by design, are we designing ourselves further into isolation and not giving ourselves a chance to be known in our community anymore? And is digital actually inspiring a new hunger for connection to people in our community again? Like where it's like, if
look at the public market,
right? It's
literally since it's been open, you can walk in there any time of day, and people are just like, because they just want to be around other people.
No, they do. It is. Yeah. I think I was walking yesterday, and after lunch, and I said, this is the new town square. I saw so many people that were connecting, engaging. That otherwise, without that space, where were they going to be? I mean, just scattered throughout. So having a condensed place like that is so critical. Yeah. So this dream I had inspired me to think differently. I started learning. I accelerated that learning because I became obsessed with it. And I was like, I think that person is it's like a perfect amalgamation of like things I would want to do with my life. Like a developer is not just a developer. It's like you are working with the city. You are designing. It has a creative element to it, which I really love. You are in the middle of like the details of the architecture of what you're building. You're thinking about the space and how you're using it. You're naming it. You're envisioning it. Yeah. All of those things. And I was like, oh, this is really great. But there's red tape. there's a reason why not a lot of people want to do it. It actually takes a long time to ever get paid. Sometimes you will never get paid. Sometimes you'll prospect and it won't work, and sometimes you'll prospect and it will work.
So you're like, I totally want to do this.
And it's like, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, it also, like, most developers don't go into development. Most developers go into a career and become developers because you need to have a cash flow outside of development, because you can't make a living on that for a long time. You're actually putting out. And one day it'll turn into something that's investment. Well, so there's so much risk involved. And there is a lot of, I think the best developers are ones who are civic minded, where they're not they're building for, there is a profit motivation, because that, I believe that capitalism, when exercised rightly, actually has a community benefit. When it's crony and there's backroom deals and there's all the kind of things that could happen, then it's not as good. But I think that the developers that are really inspiring and the ones that are saying, I want to create spaces where people not only will want to buy there, but they'll thrive there. I want to think about what people, sometimes not always what they'll ask for, but what they'll be grateful they have when they have it.
And you have a curious mind for that, and curious of people. Like, I'll even just take my son for interest. Like, when my son just thinks you're the coolest guy, and I know why. It's because when he's around, you ask him how he is, or what would keep him in Redding, or what is he up to. Yeah. And that curiosity of yours expands to lots of different kinds of people, because you have that mindset of, like, what would bring them all together to one place, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that what K2 did downtown, they had to ask those questions to create that space. They had to go out and look at how other markets are developed and how would it translate to our community, because there is something to our culture where you can't build something that's so far out of the culture where no one actually is going to want it. Yeah. You have to kind of create something that people want. But then when they're there, they go, man, I would have never imagined exactly like this, but I'm so glad it's here. And I think that thing for me, like on one of my projects, is a subdivision that's a front porch community. That was, and then my downtown project has a rooftop decks. And we're like the first rooftop decks and the first front porch community. And I did two things I think people are really enjoyed. Yeah. Those that have those places. They're like, man, I'm so glad we have rooftop decks, and man, I'm so glad I have this front porch. Yeah. These are all metaphors, though, of like places to connect and to enjoy our outdoor space here, but also connect with other people. And I think those are things that are expensive to build. They don't always appraise, and they cost about the same price per square foot, but it's an amenity. It's like, instead of just putting all that into the back patio. Yeah. Which is kind of easy and whatever. But what if we thought a little bit about design and say, how can I make this a place of connection, with community? So anyway, those are the things that it led me down that road. Yes. And what happened is I came and visited Redding. How is the thing? Well, I actually do believe that there was a big shift that started to happen for me from tech to real estate, where I kind of saw myself going into this space. So the way Redding got into the picture is that I literally had, in this dream, I saw very vividly what we were building and and how the landscape looked and everything. And I randomly, on a realtor.com app, got a listing notification to a piece of land in Redding while I was in Ohio. And every picture that I flipped through was exactly what was in my dream. Kind of freaked me out. Yeah. So call it coincidence, call it God, call it whatever it was. But I'd never heard of the city before. Of course, I'm California native, and I looked and I was like, man, the scrubby oaks were exactly what were in my dream. I'd never seen those before. The
you say texture. California native, where in California?
I'm from Riverside, California,
which is completely different.
Yes, completely different. That's
okay.
Yeah, that's near Orange County. It's Inland Empire. Nothing down there looks like up here. Yeah, and nothing in Ohio looks like here. The texture of the dirt, the trees, the oaks, that kind of thing. It just is not Midwest at all.
So you're like, there's my dream.
And there's my dream. I need to go visit. Yeah. So I'm like, man, this is crazy.
What's your wife thinking at this point?
She's like, you're crazy.
Correct.
And I was like, but we kind of need a vacation, so let's go.
Yeah.
So
California.
So we come and visit, and I changed a hotel reservation last minute to an Airbnb, and it was Aaron Nelson's house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
who ended up becoming my broker. He's no longer has an agency anymore here, but he became I ended up, when I moved here, we ended up moving into that house and lived with him for the first 9 months, and I met everybody. I think that I
This
ended
is
up
crazy.
running with.
Yeah.
Like in that first weekend we visited, I met Luke Miner,
Okay.
like Todd Stromback,
Yeah.
Jason Odell.
That's
I met
crazy.
all these guys in the
City
first
builders.
weekend. All city builders, people
Yeah.
that were on the way to clicking into
Yeah.
like big investments into the community.
You just got dropped right
And
into
I
that
got
pocket.
dropped in the middle of it at the
Yeah.
right time. And I just felt really privileged. I was like, this is the city I want to be a part of. Like I met Hope Seth. I met all these people same weekend.
Yeah. Some of us were here for a long time
Yeah.
to work those names into our
Yeah.
repertoire, man.
So I know, yeah, and I so at the end of the 4-day weekend, 5-day weekend, whatever we came, like a lot, like extend this period of time.
Yeah.
I pulled my wife aside and I was like, "Hey, what do you think of Reading?" She's like, she looked at me like she is not a, she's kind of a homebody. She's not a big change person. She was like, "I think we have to move here."
That's wild.
I was like, "Whoa," and it honestly it hit me like a ton of bricks because it made from the dream to that point was about 8 months
That's so fast.
of a
though,
period. And I was overwhelmed because I go, man, I didn't think a stupid dream would just like move my family 3,000 miles away and to away from our other family. We had no one around.
Crazy.
And to bring 4 girls, all under 9, to this city.
That is big.
It was a big move, but I think what it was a combination, not just the dream, is the people we met.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had not met those people and what their heart burned for, which was investing in the community, investing in the city, I don't think we would have done it.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
instead you were dropped right into that pocket. So you did.
Yep.
So 2014.
2015
Okay,
we moved here. Yep.
Okay.
So 10 years. Yeah. So we're going on our 11th year. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 2015, we move here, and what starts transpiring?
Well, from there, I'm still in tech, but I start transitioning to real estate, and slowly, but not the first year. The first year, I joined at the Economic Development Corporation as an entrepreneur in residence. So Luke Miner and I did that together.
Okay.
We started the startup weekend, startup games that year.
So you already started getting involved
right away,
really in the community.
Yeah. So within the first 3 months, we brought the startup games here, which they call them startup games now, but they were called startup weekend back then.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
And that was, basically helping young entrepreneurs, or not just young entrepreneurs, but just early stage entrepreneurs.
There's old entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I should say
early
stage is what I mean.
Early stage.
Yes,
that's a whole different thing.
Yes, that's a whole. That's yes. So we early onset entrepreneurship.
Yeah, okay, perfect. You start them with that.
Yeah, and we that took off, and then we just kept building that community. So that was actually my first kind of engagement community was through entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Had you
locally.
done anything like that where you were from?
Yes. I mean, that was a big part of my tech side as we built apps, mobile apps and web apps for venture-backed companies.
Okay.
So I was working with entrepreneurs for the last 10 years before moving here.
Okay. So it was a natural fit.
Yes.
So it's so interesting. God dropped you right into this natural fit, but also this new fit at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was the perfect timing for Reading too, because they were ready to click forward the startup Reading community that they just started.
Yeah.
But they didn't know what are the events that are going to kind of catalyze that?
Spur this. Yeah.
And this was kind of one of those that kind of created this top of funnel gathering of people where they did this competition for a weekend to build.
Are you still involved in that?
Yeah. Mostly on the mentoring side and
okay.
Judging. Some years I judge, some years I mentor, things like that.
Wherever you're led.
Yeah.
So you're doing that and real estate starts.
Yeah. So then 2016, 2017, I start my first project and we get going. Then, I get my real estate license. From there, I get my second project downtown. Started seeing that downtown just seemed like a really great place to take a smaller piece of land, do an infill. So both my projects have been infill. And then from there, started working with other people that had other projects and just helping them. So whatever I was learning, I wanted to share with others.
Yeah.
So that's why I think becoming a realist, a real estate professional, I was able to transition out of tech, sell my tech company, because I was able to start seeing that, oh, whatever I was learning, I enjoyed sharing with clients and helping people even. And I remember my first few clients that were other developers and investors go, why would you help me? Don't you want this property? I'm like, I have vision for what I can carry. I can't do everything.
Right.
Like I actually, in my dream, if I go back to my dream that brought me to Redding, I was building a city with friends.
Right.
It wasn't Josh built a city.
Yeah.
I built a city with friends. So the way that I see it is over the last 10 years, I get to run alongside people.
Yeah.
And it's not just my projects. They've helped me. Daniel Knott's helped me.
Okay.
All of these other friends, Luke has helped me. Eric Hyatt's helped me. All these people, you have helped me. People have come alongside me and said, hey, I've got advice for that problem that you need to solve. Because everything in business is like in entrepreneurship and risk is all about today's problems to solve.
Right.
And it's just creative problem
and finding
solving.
a person who's solved them before
Yes.
or is willing to turn around and help you too. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's me being able to run alongside someone else and do the same.
Yeah.
And so I felt really fortunate. It's like, the people I want to help the most are people that I understand, which are others that see Redding the same way, which is how could I add value to this property? How can I add value to this space?
How do you see Redding? When you say that, what does that mean?
Well, I think it's people that can see what Redding, what is the potential of a particular property or what's the potential with this area of the city? What's kind of missing? A lot of times, what it is missing is sometimes it's market economics, right? That's just basic economics, but sometimes it's vision, missing vision.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes pioneers. Usually, pioneers lose money, and then the people that come behind them,
Right. Or they lose. Like I would say, there's so many projects where it's like they get a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
And then like we're saying, and then it happens and they're like, oh, this is amazing. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
And sometimes people don't know that something is like, oh, this until they see it. I realize there's not a lot of people more, especially when we're in development. I'm amazed. I don't take for granted anymore the fact that there are some people who can see something without it being there or existing. And there are other people that can't. And I don't think that the people that can't are like uncreative or they're just like they're just sometimes I think some of us are wired to not need drywall or paint colors or furniture to see it. Like I can look at raw land and imagine a building.
Yeah.
And I think some people are just wired that way. And because you can see that, I think that's why those people are able to endure 3 years of red tape to just get to the point where you're framing.
Right.
And that's usually, that's that like every morning you're saying, what today am I going to click forward so that in 2028 I can see this building exist?
Right. Why do you think there's a lack of vision sometimes in California?
Well,
Loaded
I think
question.
it's everywhere. I don't think it's just Redding. I saw it I think that, a bigger city like where I came from, or whether it's like Riverside or somewhere like that, I think that you can see places that got built without vision. They just kind of like, you just feel like someone just kind of threw up on it and they just put another strip mall or a really like Cracker Jack, I don't know, house or some sort of whatever. But, that's going to happen. Like market could drive that. I think why places don't have vision is if you don't have people in the community who are gathering that are leaders and also where they're good at business, they're good at their trade, whatever it is. So say it's like real estate and development or building or it's manufacturing or it's it's medical or it's the startup community. Yeah, these silos. By having I think what Redding has with Leadership Redding and some of our other civic organizations, it I think creates space for those relationships to occur where better projects can be produced because now like the Redding market, I'm hanging out at Fall River downtown with 4 other people yesterday, and this is a real story. Yesterday, talking about real ideas for what's next for Redding.
Yeah.
And it was over a beer. And I think at least 2 out of the 5 people that were there probably walked away going, like, some of that will get executed for real.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So they're real conversations that like spur on, but that's how vision's created. We're not meant to interpret these visions alone. Like they're meant to be worked out in community.
Yeah.
The vision of what I saw building a city with friends, like was meant to be worked out in community. Like, I didn't know exactly how it was going to get done all the way, but I think you just need, you need to create space for these visions to be able to work themselves out.
Yeah.
You gotta have like real relationships. We can't be siloed. So it requires vulnerability, which has risk associated with it.
I was going to say, I was literally going to like, and so there's risk involved in that. And I've seen you take other risks. So real estate, you probably could have lived your life doing real estate. Yeah. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And no. So you choose to run for office and get involved in other things. What drew you to like, I probably have an idea, right? Because being in real estate and in lending, we bump into a lot of things in our community where we see issues, right? Yep. So for you, what made you go, okay, time to take a different step and go get more civically involved?
Well, it wasn't, and I know for some people getting involved in government, it sometimes is birthed out of a lot of pain. Like I've experienced frustration. And so I'm really glad for me that it wasn't that, because I think that turns you into kind of an angry politician where you're just kind of always looking for the next thing to be angry about. I think that I saw a civic engagement. I studied government in college. I have a bachelor's degree in government with almost a second major in business, but government was like my main passion. When I was in school, I thought I was going to be a pastor. So my first semester, I was a theology major.
Okay.
And first semester is all it took for me to realize I didn't want to do that vocationally. Okay. My faith and what I wanted to do to help others actually can be expressed in other ways. And I knew that I was wired differently. But I had such a deep faith, I thought growing up, then that must mean I should be a pastor. I should go into ministry full time. But as I started to explore who I was a bit more and what I'm skilled at and how my brain worked, I was like, I actually think I could be a pastor as a person in my life and with the people around me, and I can care about. Pastoring just means shepherding.
Correct.
I actually think I could be a shepherd to people without being paid for
wherever I am.
Wherever I am.
Yeah.
And but for what I want to do to give to my community or to support my family, I really saw government as it clicked for me when I studied it. When I started learning how our government worked, or even learning about how other governments worked, though it all made sense. I saw how the puzzle pieces
shape and
work.
build a community, really, too, right? Like
Right.
if you're looking at it as a developer, well, the government makes a lot of decisions about your parks, your utilities, your this,
Totally.
your that, your housing. Can this go there?
Yep.
Absolutely or absolutely not, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are things about government that really deeply frustrate me. But me getting involved locally here in government, actually what inspired it was when I got my first map approved. I took raw land and converted it and subdivided it and turned it into more housing. I started to just see like how being on this side of the counter where there were some challenges, and I also understood how the challenges that government employees experienced from people in the community on how to get things done.
Yeah.
And I started helping people streamline some of their red tape.
Right.
And I was like, oh, like there's misunderstandings. Like
so it stemmed from a place of wanting to help.
Yes.
From seeing both sides and going, okay, maybe if you came here and you came here, we could work together.
And there's misunderstandings all the time, and they run rampant. I mean, there are big issues I think that we have in the state of California. And also in the city, no one person is at fault for that. It's decades of kind of cascading and kind of building or snowball effect there. But when it comes to like working within the system, some people, think that, developers are, these special people that get special favors. It's usually what it is the benefit of working within one community and being devoted to one community is you start knowing who to call to expedite the process. And you go, oh, well, that's not fair. No. Everyone could call that person.
Yeah.
But it takes time to build, and it takes 10 years to know who to call. And when that person retires, you still know the role that makes that decision. You start to see how it all works.
Correct.
And it doesn't make it all better. Sometimes it's still frustrating.
Right.
But it does start to make sense, and things can get done, and you know how to do the due diligence a little easier on projects, because you're like, okay, well, this will take 2.5 years to get approved.
Well, you also come to the person not with anger, but with understanding. You get further, and I think that's like a big problem, right? Or like if you already are assuming a problem,
right,
you come with that already in your head, and you're not listening to them. You're waiting to have your answer or your response more than listening to them. So if you know the person, you've worked with them before,
yes,
you know how to work with them.
Yeah. And and I think, a lot of, government it's just problem solving.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you're going to work, and, it doesn't matter if it's a government bureaucrat or it's an engineer or it's a developer who's a hothead, which there are a lot of those where they just kind of fly off if they have any issues or pushback or anything. And so it's like, okay, it's all humans and everyone is emotional.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all negotiation. So everything is like, how do I solve this problem with, more clear communication?
Well, and they all have another layer. Like, I think real estate and lending probably teaches this tool quite a bit. And Megan Daly and I talk a lot about how, like, my career, right? I'm as a real estate agent and loan officer, we're always running for office, like actually every day.
Yes.
Pick me, choose me,
Right.
And then we're always having to actually do the job also. But like realizing that, like in my career, it's like, here's this person up front trying to figure things out. They've got their own stipulations. Then I got to put the loan in. Then I've got an underwriter. Well, they have pressure from this way that I don't know about, right? And so does a funder. So all that to say, when I'm like, why aren't you doing what I want? You and I have to learn to go, what's back here that I don't know about?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, why could I make this happen? And government, to me, the more I learn, is so much that.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. What does the county say? What does the state say? What came down federally? Like, why can you just not do that?
Yeah.
Or could we find, this is the Josh I know, could we find another way to flip the Rubik's Cube?
Right.
I think we probably could.
Yeah.
Right? And not in a rude way.
No, totally. Yeah, and I do think that there's decorum, like how you do it, but sometimes it does take it takes a certain amount of persistence. Like when I've been on planning commission, was on city council as an appointee for a little bit, and I like in that amount of time, when I was there, I wanted to give it my all, push as much as I could, as fast as I could. I don't believe government has to work slowly.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, my philosophy of government is that at a federal level, I want it to move very slow. At a state level, I want it to be like a jog, and then at the city level, I want it to be like
move faster.
I want it to be like you're trying to do like a 10-minute mile.
Okay.
Like, because you can
Thank
make.
you. Everybody wants me to do a 9 and an 8, and I think a 10 is great.
10. I was trying to do a 10. That's like average. I think people can do 10. So like, I think that the reason that is the closer government is to you, the more impact you have on changing it. So you're one election away from having power change, and so if something needs to have an about face and you need something to actually like change course, you can do that in like within a few years. At a state and federal level, that's a longer period of time, and you have less impact with your
Well,
one
and there's
vote.
more people. Yes, you have less impact, but there's more people that they need to represent and more that they should be looking at. So it should take a little longer, right? But when it's local, this is our area.
But I do appreciate, though, I mean, I have to say, I do appreciate sometimes there's been a slow degradation of, politics at state and federal levels, that sometimes in order to unravel that, it takes someone willing to do that quickly. And I think we see, why is half the country excited about what's happening in some parts of the federal government right now? Well, it's because there is a belief that there's big changes that were needed, and so we need to do those more quickly. I'm surprised, I think at a local level, I don't believe that conservatism means that government changes slowly. And we are mostly we are kind of defined as a profile here in Redding by probably a higher demographic that would identify as conservative, and I think that it has been interesting to kind of navigate what does that actually mean here. I came from a bigger city where being a conservative, I was a minority. I came here, and I feel like I'm not conservative enough. Sometimes.
It changes where you live.
It does.
It changes where you live. My aunt and uncle, same sort of thing, lived in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
Felt very Republican there.
Yeah.
Or conservative, very. Moved to Kentucky, they're like, I don't have to feel quite as conservative here.
Yeah.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
What water you're in, what temperature.
Yep.
Kind of
right.
moves it a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like in some places, if you don't believe every conspiracy, you're not in with it. So I feel like I don't have friends anywhere.
That being said, I think too on the city level, sometimes to kind of what you were saying earlier, like the changes, the shakeup that I feel like we thought we needed to see up here. I feel like some people think we need to do that here too, and I'm like, not necessarily.
Yeah,
I feel like we're at war with our own people.
I mean, especially since like we're a charter city, so really the only shakeup you can do at a city like Redding is a city manager change. Because they have the most amount of power.
Well, we'll see.
Which they did. They hired.
Yep.
But so we'll see what happens there. But that's the biggest role in our city.
You
like
know
they
what?
have the most amount
Yes,
of power.
what you're saying, is wild because being as up close, at least as I am at this point in my life, in the political world and watching it, what fascinates me is how much we don't pay attention to things like the city the manager, the people who are actually there for decades, while the staff they have to train, the elected staff, come and go, right? Yeah. And I'm like, do you ever realize that the ladies at the front and the ladies over here, and they're the ones actually kind of, maybe you should be paying attention to them.
Right.
It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that what's been really interesting to learn is how many people don't get involved in civic leadership because of fear of what it might do to their business.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And I've talked to so many people. I'll say, hey, will you get involved? Will you do this? Like, apply to be on the planning commission.
Yeah.
Will you run for city council? It's 4 years. You make $600 a month.
Yeah, you're not doing it for the money.
Yeah, you make $600 a month, and you're it's a thankless job, but like we need people that know how to make good decisions, tough decisions.
Yeah, and if you're running a good business, no matter the type of business, you're probably that kind of wisdom that we need up there, right? Able to digest the information and go, here's a good decision.
Right. You know how to look at a budget. You know how to understand profit and loss statements. You can even have the capacity to understand all the various like municipal finance thing, which it's complicated, but you can get it. If you understand business, you'll be able to kind of dig in and
you should be able to listen to public comment or listen to people about certain things and go, okay, let me find the middle. Yeah. I think in the real estate and lending world, we have to do that consistently, almost every transaction, right? So let's just bring that to here. But to your point, in such a conservative area, it is interesting how you find that you don't want to stand up for a measure, or you don't want to stand up and run for office because you might lose business. And that's kind of wild. What I've loved through some things that have gone on recently is even people I don't agree with, I'm like, let's sit down and talk about that. Yeah. And can we still do our other business together? Like that shouldn't even, why should that bother our business? But there is a lot of fear of that in a very like-minded area. Yeah. And it's fascinating a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where, like, I don't have any plans to run for city council again for a while. So I'll put that out there. I don't know when that would be again, but right now I'm really enjoying behind the scenes working to
There's a lot
help
to be
others.
done in the back.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing on my family right now and building our business and doing that. But
business is at What business is that now?
So actually, to give you, like, at the time of this podcast, I work part-time with Good News Rescue Mission. I'm building several projects for them right now.
Okay.
So one of them is a adult rehab and recovery facility, a 75-bed facility. Now there's a day resource center, and then we have a number of other housing projects. And then my wife and I own a business called Buildwise Supply that does cabinets and countertops, and I still have a handful of clients and things that I work with in the real estate world and other investors that I'm helping with projects. And I enjoy that work. And then my civic side, like, maybe I'll join another commission in the future, or maybe I'll do other stuff like that. But and I want to have conversations, not just like these, but even debates, like things that are really important, even with people that I disagree with, because there are a lot of my friends. I hope that we can start to have conversations with those that are not always on our side on every topic. And I hope that we start to realize the people on our side, we can actually have friends who we cheer on that we disagree with from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think actually those disagreement conversations are what actually push us forward if we can have them well. Right? Because the truth is, like, one of the things Megan always said to me is when she was voted in, she goes, now that I'm voted in, I represent people who did and didn't vote for me.
That's right.
Right? And that's really how public servants should work. But as people in the community who care and take in the information, I think it's important too that we help with the narrative.
Yeah.
Right? That we're constantly having those conversations, whether or not we agree.
Yeah.
And I like people on every side. Like, I think that's what I love about leadership writing is I'm like, let's take a room full of everybody who thinks totally different things and put them in there. And I call it I call it one of two things, but usually it's like, when you go on vacation and you've just gotten there and you're like, who's this couple? Who are you? Hey, how are you? Are you looking for, what are your political beliefs?
Right.
Why might I not like you?
Right.
You're not. So, like, hey, this is a beautiful place to live. Like, why not look at everybody as somebody who might be an ally that I might be interested in?
I don't go out to Enterprise Park and say, I'll play pickleball with all the conservatives.
Yeah.
Or anyone who voted no on Measure A.
You're very liberal. Yeah. You're very liberal.
If you are not in that category, please go to another court. It's like, no, exactly. And it's like, I think that's how we kind of treat politics right now. And I actually think better ideas get refined through really healthy disagreements.
Yeah.
My wife and I of 21 years
you
are
never
an example. Oh my gosh. It's a great example. It's like, you produce a better home culture through a clash of ideas sometimes, and a coming together and like refining of those things. And there is a little bit of, and I'm not saying that like politics is like a marriage, but there's something to being able to have conflict that we've lost. I think that we can regain that at a local level. I have actually a deep passion for, like, I would love to have political debates again.
Like actual
debates.
Yeah.
Where you hug at the end and you high five and you might not vote the same way, but you actually appreciate that person.
Yeah.
And that they argue honestly and there's an integrity with it that comes with it, and a realization that you can disagree on ideas and not have to you don't have to argue the character of that person. It's not personal attacks. I think they only go so far. They're great for headlines. They're great for social media reels. 30
but
seconds.
They're not why
whatever.
You should win. They're not why you should win or lose.
Correct. And those are the things that you won't see from me. Both times that I've been in political campaigns, there have been heavy leanings to be like, hey, you should expose this, or you should be a part of like this for your opponent, like go after your opponent for these things that are like this mud or this dirt or all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I'd rather argue ideas.
Right.
I'd rather let's talk about
whose character does that really, to me, if you're the one like slinging the mud, whose character does that actually?
Well, what it is that it goes against my value system, because I actually don't want people. I want people to vote for people and ideas that they believe are best for their community.
Right.
And right now, I don't think, I think a lot of people will look back and they've told me over the years, hey, the people that win these elections are not always like the people with the best ideas. They're the most name recognized people.
Yeah, it's true.
So then it started getting me thinking, well, then if the most name recognized people are going to win, and then what if there's a group of people that can not just make friends with those that they align with and start endorsing, this is my person.
Right.
But what if there is a group of people that can start building relationships with all of the council members and the supervisors and the various people and say, hey, I care about these 5 or 6 issues. Maybe you're on a coalition for homelessness, or maybe it's housing, or maybe it's streamlining government efficiency, or it's you have passions for these different things. Well, why don't you build relationships with all of them and have influence with everybody? Feed everybody the same information. But if we go use Facebook to just go personally attack these elected officials, you lose all ability to influence.
Correct.
Because all of a sudden you are noise.
You're a resounding gong.
Yes. And
it's
so
true.
I just think that's what I hope that we could have is, if I'm on the sidelines, that I could have relationships with everybody and have a voice, not because I'm special, but because I'm willing to put in the time.
You're putting in the time
to build that relationship and be of value and say,
not
here's
just the
be a
relationship
resource.
up there. Then take that and make relationships down. My favorite thing is when I'll get a phone call. I'm surprised you're friends with so and so. I've had this. This happen. I just had it happen again. I have it all the time. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Well, they don't think like you do.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely, I'm friends with them.
My Uncle Bob doesn't think like me either. But we have
right?
Thanksgiving dinner every year.
But they're in my community and they're doing this great thing. And that's great. And yes, I'm totally friends with them. And so those relationships with the members, right? And knowing that, but then decimating it, like getting if that's the right word, but then like bringing it to all these different people you also build equity with in the community who don't have the time to invest.
Yeah.
And telling them the truth about this is what's going on, or this is how they're actually fighting for that. Like, I think that's important. And, it's interesting because we both said like there's a lot to do in the back. And I think that's some of the big work to do in the background is like, hey, actually, I sat down with the person. This is what was really said. Like, that's not what's actually going on, and you actually really can change minds. It was fascinating to me to learn on a campaign one time that the number one reason people get votes is if their neighbor has that person's campaign sign in their yard. And that's funny because like we're not all like-minded with every one of our neighbors, but we live in the same neighborhood.
But there's a FOMO a little bit. There's a little bit of that fear of missing out. Like, what do they know I don't know? It's a little bit, it's like, I thought it
was more like I trust my neighbor. Like they must be a good person. Their lawn is mowed and like they helped bring my trash cans in all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. And some of it is like, hey, I don't have time to go research all this, but I see a lot of those signs.
But I trust them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I do think that there is, certain things that really work. I think door knocking really works in a local community. And hey, I met that guy. I don't know. They might not be able to tell you your top 3 priorities.
But he was willing to come to my front door.
Yeah. Most people don't know who their council members are.
Yeah.
I knock on doors and they don't know who's in office right now.
What fascinates me is we vote them in. And then I don't know about you, but then I'm constantly hearing, I don't trust those guys. We vote them in.
Oh, I know. Well, I had that obviously with our last, election. I'm online and I enjoy a good little prodding every so often.
You don't jump in, do you?
Oh, I jump in really fun ways.
Okay.
I don't get in with people who are truly closed-minded, except for the thing I'll do with those who are really not interested in a conversation. They're interested in just winning.
Yeah.
I'll get in and be like, hey, like, may I ask who you voted for? Like, did you vote for at least 2 or 3 of these people? Because like, you're making it seem like they are your enemy, but like you elected them.
Yeah, somebody elected them.
Yeah, somebody elected them. You at least elected some of them. I know that not all of them are just your enemies here. But that is the hardest part about why people don't want to run for office is because they don't want to go from being this loved business person in the community or whatever. It's like I built this business with like John Doe's insurance or John, so-and-so's real estate company, and they've had their name on billboards all over or whatever. And all of a sudden they get elected, and now they are the problem. It's like as soon as it's like almost day one.
That's
but
true.
Really what it is you have to realize no matter who you're going to elect, whether it's Donald Trump or it's your local, city council member or supervisor, which by the way, supervisors and council members are different. They're different people.
Oh, they do different things?
They do different things.
Oh, and one of them gets $100,000 salary and one gets $600?
Yeah, $600.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, $600. Yeah,
Yes.
let's clarify this. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So,
really?
But as soon as they get the reason why they don't want to run is because they don't want to be all of a sudden this public enemy number one. But not everybody you elect, you're never gonna side with them 100% of the time.
You don't. So what I tell people, I don't side with my own self 100% of the time. Like, real, right? Like, we all do things that are like, why'd I do that? And like, that is just the truth of the matter.
You married your husband, I married my wife, and we don't always see eye to eye on not only what to eat for dinner, but what to watch is the number one thing. It's like, what are we going to watch? Well,
you're not wrong.
We're going to, I guess, watch Gilmore Girls again because that's what you want to watch. And I want to watch something new. Something new for the love of the Lord.
I don't want a rerun of Friends.
Yes. Okay. No. Rerun of Friends. Well,
I mean, Friends maybe.
Friends
we could do that.
Okay. That's fun. But anyway.
It's true. It's true.
But it's like, but I love her and I trust her with my life, but I don't agree with her all the time. Why do we treat politicians?
Voted for her.
Because I think, though, what it is raised stakes because every time an elected official makes a decision, it seems that it does have an impact on our lives, maybe how tax dollars are being used. And I do think that's really important.
Yeah.
I know that is super important. But, we just have to realize that these people are making decisions based on the information they have, and they're trying, and hopefully they're trying to listen.
And they're going to live with the decision. The thing that constantly I get reminded of, like we had a public safety day the other day, and I think it was Chief Barner who was like, in most places, cops go home somewhere else. That's not really true in our area.
Yeah, there's a high percentage that live in Redding.
Right here in Redding. So, and I'm not just saying that about the police, but our city council, our county, like we're a little island up here, really, kind of. Yeah. And they're going to deal with what they vote in, what they choose, what they do. Like they're going to be here on the island with us. And it's wild to think that like, we think they want to do something bad for their own family, for their own children, for the investment they're making in the future. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. But it's somehow in here what we think. Like they're somehow bad guys. And it's like, wow, they didn't get up there to like be bad guys or make the city worse for their, wife or husband or children. Like that's not true. And they live here too.
Well, let me ask you this. So like I've taken big risks to get involved in local politics.
You have.
And you have taken risk as well. Why did you decide to be on the Central Committee, for instance, or to be involved the way you have with assembly members or state senate members or whatever that might look like, building those relationships? What is your why for being in that? Because you're very busy. Not only you're a mom, you're a wife, you're running, a business with one of the higher volumes in town for, mortgages that you're writing. So what is that why? Because it seems like you can make a whole lot more money if I put cut that down. If you just stop, if you just didn't do that stuff.
We do a coaching circle of life like twice a year, right? And I'm doing mine the other day, and it's like spiritual life, family life, community life, work life. I'm like, ooh, okay. But I love what I do. I love the people I serve. My why. I think a lot of my stuff all stemmed like 7 years ago. I think most of my life, it's kind of fascinating. You did a backstory. When I was young, I was like, I want to be president someday. Some of my friends who knew me from elementary school still remember that. Yeah. I also was like, I'm going to be a lawyer, and then I'm going to go into government, and I want to be the first female president. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm not going to need kids. I have 5, so that just, flip-flopped on me a little. So I think for this first majority of my life, and I came up from the Bay Area, and I have 5 kids. I think I just put my head down and wanted to be a good mom and help raise good humans. Yeah. I think that's our number one job, is to make good humans for the next generation. But I always knew at some point something was going to shift. And I think I put off doing leadership writing for a couple years because I was like, oh, I think that's the thing that's going to change my life. And it was. About a year before that, I had started with Catalyst Mentoring with Aaron Hayes. That was
Yep.
my first like get involved for something bigger for the community.
Love Aaron. Good little
Yeah.
shout out to Aaron.
Sharon
Just talked to him
Hayes.
last week.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh. We've been playing phone tag. And he asked me to do that, and I can get behind that because my why in that is, hey, if I should create good humans, I should help the good humans who need people to help them, right? And the next generation is where we got to put our time and our energy. So I'd started in that, and I did leadership writing. And I think what's fascinating about the government piece, and I was just sharing this, is I remember Brian Daly was up there, and at the time he was still our assemblyman. And I can actually physically remember being like, oh, a politician, and kind of like rolling my eyes. And then he started talking.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that triggered me was he actually started having tears about what is in our children's books in schools.
Yeah.
Right. And different legislations that he wanted to run to represent our rural conservative way of life, and the resistance he was meeting, and how passionate about it he was, and how much he did not feel like a politician to me. So I think after meeting him, and then a week or two later meeting Megan, and it was just when he was going to go into Senate, and so she was going to run for his seat, and hearing their story of like having people actually come stay up with them in Bieber, and paying for that, and showing people what rural looked like, and them going down there and staying there, I was like, they need more help. So I think what happens to me is anytime I'm like, that's a good cause and it needs help, I jump in way too fast. And it's kind of my why. But Megan decided to run, and she ran. And the first thing she asked me to come to, it was like we clicked the first time we met. She goes, can you come sit at this debate and just smile from the audience? I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am. Like, I will. And so I came, and I just smile at her so that she could keep her smile on in these different forums and stuff. And we just clicked from there. But I think now I've represented her now on the Central Committee for 7 years, just because my friend needs a friend.
So she gets to have a spot on there.
So I'm her spot. And when she first got elected, she wanted to hire me to be what my husband is now for Heather Hadwick, be like a field representative.
Yeah.
She offered me the job. Lending, I was in my first year. And I really wanted to take the job with Megan. I really felt a draw, but God kept opening scriptures that said, and the king had a friend. And there's only a few places in the Bible, and it just kept, and I was like, I'm supposed to just be her friend.
Yeah.
I felt, and I was sad. Like So nope, I've stayed her friend, and lending took off. Lending's been a blessing. Like that's when, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So
thank you for being our lender.
Absolutely. So it's taken off, and I've gotten to be like a mama to a lot of people, and like it's been the right thing. And like this year I've been blessed. I've helped so many clients, children and nephews and nieces. Like it's just been a blessing. Yeah. So my why was just seeing somebody that like, God, you've called them to do it, but they need friends. They need people to support them. They need someone to just be like, how can I pray for you today?
Yeah.
What do you know, like, and hear the stories of what they're dealing with in Sacramento. Anyway, so that's been our Brian and Megan trajectory, and they've just become their family. Like they're family now. That's my why there. And then project restoration, right? I have other boards I'm on, and anytime I hear something that's like that just needs people to be there, I say yes. I'm learning to say no to a few more. But I think that's my passion too, Josh, is like kind of to your point of building a community. If I'm going to tell people to invest their money and their time and their energy and their lives and raise their children here, because that's what I'm telling them when I say, here's a mortgage. Yeah. I think so. I want to know, like, in every area I could touch, I can tell you there's good things going on here. Yeah. There's good people involved. Right. You can jump into. We need to do that. But now I will say, when people sign up for leadership writing and talk to me about it, I'm like, okay, go through the program. Just pick one thing. Start with one. Because like your one big yes, can be really, really good and really, really impactful. Yeah. I don't know if I answered that like way overly.
I love that. No, that's really helpful because there is a big risk. There's time it takes, but I do think that it does come back. Not that you do it for what it brings back, but getting involved civically is a way of just giving back to your community. And some people do it through Rotaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of a Rotary, but I find that most of my engagement doesn't happen just through those channels.
Right.
It's usually things that are like very specific that I feel like I have a skill set
Mm-hmm.
and I believe I can help offer the community. And I don't believe that government solves all of our problems. I believe that community is a part of our solution.
Yes.
I believe that I personally can be a part of a solution.
Understanding government can help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that it solves all problems either because I
Yeah.
think we have to be the answer. We have to
Yeah.
be the solution. But understanding
Totally.
city's different than county is different than,
Yep.
right, is very important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, government a lot of times can band-aid a solution. They can
Mm-hmm.
solve some things, but anything that's involving the heart. So like, when it comes to drug,
Mm-hmm.
rehab, addictions, long-term recovery, domestic violence.
Yeah.
You go into all these dark alleys that every community kind of has, and some
Yeah.
more than others based on economic conditions or generational
Yeah.
stuff that kind of has occurred over time.
And Reading seems to have that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Not seems to, does.
It does, yeah. And those are areas where the churches need to stand in the gap, and
Yes.
where the individuals and through relationship and these nonprofit organizations, I think we have a very strong, and we can kind of wrap the conversation with kind of what are the components. We talked about the people being so important to why Reading is special.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the local nonprofit community and the people that are working so hard to stand in the gap in these dark places, these kind of, I call them, they could be alleys or corners, these shadow places that are really hard to look at, whether it's homelessness or addiction or domestic violence. You just name those, or you have stuff with kids and fatherlessness or parent wounds or just straight poverty. Like those things, like government just can't solve all those things. They could kind of they can put some bandages on those wounds, but to really like heal those, it really takes organizations that are mentoring kids. It takes organizations that are taking women in and their kids and giving them shelter and giving them a new safe place, a new community, and a way out, and pathways back to housing and stability.
Yeah.
It takes not just a 30, 60, 90-day addiction recovery program. It takes a connection then to community that can have sober living and a new pathway for them with new relationships that gets them out of a cycle. And even though the current wants to suck them back in and wants to suck them back in.
How did you get on the board for the Good News Rescue Mission? Because I mean, that's right. What I hear you saying is awesome because it's like, oh, I'm so interested in becoming a developer.
Yeah.
But the part of you that's like, but I'm also going to go back and help. I'm also going to go back and make sure that everyone gets included in this new vision, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get onto that?
Well, it's because I was running. When I was running for city council, everyone was telling me homelessness was our biggest problem. We do have an issue here, but I had experienced more homelessness in other cities than I experienced here. So I didn't see it at first. I started listening and I heard it, and I was like, well, who's doing the work in that space? And so I met with Jonathan Anderson, and we just hit it off. Like built a great connection.
I can see that.
And I love him and love the organization and what they were doing, but I also love not just where they were, but actually I got more excited about where they wanted to go.
He's a big vision guy too.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we connected really well on that because I was like, man, and then I started going, man, I think I want to be a part of that work. I want to help you. And so I started on the board, and then after 2 or 3 years of that, I became joined the team. Yeah. Because I was like, actually, I needed to be on the team, so I stepped off the board, and Todd Jones took my spot on that board. But so I'm not on the board, but now I'm in the work. I'm in the weeds of it, and it's because the skill set just lined up with what they needed to. And
that must
also
feel good though. Like I was talking to someone today about like in my industry, like I do a loan. I'm like, yay, congrats, you got your keys. I never see something, so I love like a good burn pile day or like seeing something happen. So the mission, like you're down in the work, you're probably seeing some stuff come to fruition quicker.
Oh yeah,
and that's probably awesome.
Yeah, since I joined, we completed the 17 micro shelters. We had an ADU. We finished a sober living house for men. We bought, 11 apartments and are renovating those. We're building the Day Resource Center. We're building a 26,000 square foot, facility. There's a lot going on, but it's so exciting because, if the organization wanted to stay in the 1960s or 70s, it would have been like, great. Like they're just supplying emergency shelter. They're feeding people. I mean, they feed, it is millions of dollars worth of food a year.
Yeah.
And I go, that's great. But because they want to get into this continuum of care and say, hey, we don't want to just do emergency shelter. We actually want to go further. I was like, oh, I'm very excited about that because there's a cycle in if people don't have a way to the next thing and they actually can't see it. What I wanted to see on our campus was that I can go from emergency shelter and I can see the micro shelters and I go, oh, I actually want to qualify for that.
I want to do that next.
And then when you're in the micro shelters, I want them to see the apartments.
You're giving
and
the vision to the people.
Yes.
Yeah. And they need that.
Yep. And they could see it all there. And then eventually moving off the campus and into their own place again and being the Adam Schwartz story.
I know, right?
Which, dude, I love working with that guy. He's incredible. But what a great example of what's possible. And if someone who didn't want to be there at first either.
Right?
He's very open about that.
I love what he's like. They were kind of jerks.
Yeah.
I'm like, interesting. So I love that you're like, I'm going to help give the vision to these people of like, what's next? Where are we going?
I think people need to see it. They need to be able to see it.
You thought of this question, but I'm going to have you wrap us up with it. Fast forward 10 years, Redding, California.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you see?
Well, fast forward 10 years, Redding, California, based on not only what is currently on the docket, what we can see of funding, what's happening, what the sheriff envisions to do.
Yeah.
The True North Behavioral Campus. My hope and prayer is that comes. The facilities with Visions of the Cross and the Good News Rescue Mission and what they're building. With what's happening downtown and how the heart of our city is back.
Yeah.
I actually see the next click forward is actually having a riverfront district that connects our downtown and our community in such a vibrant way where it becomes part of our identity.
Yeah.
In a way that's not just because we want growth or because we want this, because it's part of our culture and our identity to enjoy it in a way that makes the most sense.
I love that you said not like we track Bend. No, no, we're actually not Bend.
We're not.
We're the first Redding, not the next Bend.
Yes, exactly. But those like communities that are vibrant and have a river running through it, they have a vision for the way that they enjoy the river as a community. And I think we're ready for that. And now that the heart of our city is back and we're, you start seeing that town center and kind of vibe. Like if you were at the tree lighting last Friday, which I know this is going to come out and it might date it, but tree lighting 2025 was different. Yeah. Completely different than any other year that I've experienced. And I've been here for now over a decade.
It's like a hope that's arisen, right? And it's like what you're saying, like when I hear you talk about the river, it's almost like that could be a turning point on our narrative of who we are. Yeah. Right?
Well, I actually think the river is what we're going to be proud of. The downtown is where we're going to, it's where we're going to eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah.
But the river is where we're going to enjoy the outdoors with our kids.
Yeah.
Like I kayak that river every summer.
I love it.
I love it. People fish that river. They do all that. But there are people that are too old to kayak and too old to fish, and they want to walk along the river.
Yeah.
And we've got we got trails, and they want to eat and enjoy looking at the river and the beauty of it. And they've been living here for decades and decades with their families. And they, and the best views of the river are office buildings right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, like let's get our people better connected to the river.
Yeah.
It's one of the best resources.
Water is always a draw, right? Like where do you want to hike? A waterfall. You don't want to hike to no water. Like that's not anyways, water always is a draw. Why aren't we using the draw?
Yeah, I think push forward 10 years.
Yeah.
I think that we have 2 or 3 more mid-sized manufacturers that are exporting products from Redding, not just selling to Redding people, but selling outside of Redding. And I did a little bit of research. We have $11 billion GDP in Shasta County. One mid-size manufacturer will equate to a 1.25% increase in GDP of a multiplier, not just with what they produce out of the factory, but what they create in cascading effect of businesses, construction, restaurants, housing, everything that is impacted. It's a multiplier. And that formula starts to have a huge impact. And I would love to see us grow because of economic growth, wage increase, and not right now. Our biggest employers, 7 out of the 10, are government and medical. Yeah. I would love to see that shift where that is 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and that we have 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 are actual producers of exports that come from the city of Redding, California. Yeah. And so I think that having our river be a main part of our identity as a resource that we get to enjoy and engage more than we are now is key to that. Yeah. So my hope is in 2035, that's what's happening.
That's what we're talking about then.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.